Well, now Thursday night, late night shopping has been a tradition for a long time. And legally, there's nothing stopping shopping centres from opening up on other weeknights. They can choose up to 9 p.m. and some do, but every year around Christmas and some public holidays, retail trading hours are extended on weekends and they get really busy. And while Christmas shopping adds a boost, I wonder how much of it is the convenience of having them open on weekends and not having to go to the shops after work. So tell me, do you think it's time to extend trading hours? And if you are a retail owner, if you work there, is this something you'd like to do, or would it cost too much to staff? 1300 222 720. Wilson Tucker, MLC, thinks it is time for change. He's calling for retail deregulation. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Joe. How are you?
Well, thank you. Why are you pushing for this? Why do you think we need to extend our retail hours?
Look, it's a really old piece of legislation that hasn't been touched in a long time, and we go through this bit of theatre every year where the government makes this apparently generous concession to let retailers in the CBD to operate for slightly more hours during the Christmas period, which really begs the question: why isn't this a change that's put in place for the rest of the year? Why does the government need to be involved in trading hours? WA continues to be the most restrictive state or territory in the CBD for retail trading hours. And meanwhile, you have the rise of these e-commerce giants like Amazon, which are expanding their presence. And the Perth CBD really struggles to attract shoppers and visitors. So I think it's time that the Cook government really stop listening to the unions who have their heads stuck in the sand on this issue, and to give shoppers more choice when they choose to shop throughout the year.
Does industry support it? What about retail operators?
Look, CCIWA definitely do, and they've been beating this war drum for a little while and calling for the Retail Trading Act to be updated. They've seen the benefits and the positives that have been realised by shops in other jurisdictions who have moved down the path of deregulation. And unfortunately in WA, it has become this divisive political issue between the Liberals and the Labor Party, which side with the unions. And meanwhile, polls show that the majority of the public actually support less restrictive trading hours. So I think it's time that the government actually stop listening to the union and start listening to the people of WA.
Now, you've introduced a bill to extend shopping hours. How much support do you think you've got?
Look, it's a bit tough as an independent, sort of a one-man show. But look, I mean, talking to Labor members with taking their union hats off, as individuals living in the CBD, they've certainly experienced the restriction and some of the frustration that comes from these very narrow windows in which you can shop. So I think individually, a lot of Labor members and people from the other side of the aisle and around the chamber actually support this. Getting the government on side is obviously a bit of a tricky thing now, given the numbers. But we do have an election coming up, so we'll see how the landscape looks next year. But there is support. It's just sort of garnering that from the government, which is a bit tricky at the moment.
Oh, you're putting it back on the agenda, Wilson. Derek's called in, and I don't think he agrees with you. G'day, Derek. What did you want to say?
G'day, Joe. At the moment, all of your suburban shopping centres are open past 6 p.m. of an evening to 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. How many of the small retailers are open on any night other than a Thursday? They are virtually all closed.
So you're saying, Derek, that this would do a disservice to the smaller retailers, and the big guys would just get in and...
Well, they're the only people who are open. None of the small retailers are open on any other night apart from a Thursday.
Derek, thanks for that. Wilson, what's your response?
Well, look, I mean, some of the larger retailers already enjoy a competitive advantage where they can operate 24 hours a day. So they've received a special exemption, which does give them the advantage to operate when they want to. The Woolworths out of the airport, the IGAs. But I think there is a space for those smaller retailers and those smaller operators to operate and extend their hours if they want to. I think in WA we have sort of learned to change our patterns to suit the hours. But I think if we open this up, it does change the consumer patterns in terms of when you shop. So you give more options, you change that behaviour over time, and then the retailers will respond in kind. So I think we're sort of learnt when we should be shopping, because that's all we know, because the government dictates terms.
On the text line, quite a bit of pushback to this idea, Wilson, I have to say. Helen says, try shopping hours in Europe, much less than here. Worst thing we ever did was extend trading hours. It's bad for families. The same amount of money to go around, so it doesn't help business either. And this person's saying a lot of people are working 6 to 7 days a week just to survive. When can they shop if they're staying back later?
Well, if you're increasing the hours, then you're giving more opportunities for people to work. So, I mean, you're talking about rostering changes for people in that industry. And I think it is a relatively simple problem to overcome. And I think the benefits of extended hours and providing with consumers with more choice when they can shop certainly outweigh some of those negatives. So if you talk to anyone who's come into WA, one of the big criticisms that is certainly levelled on us is, I think we go to bed very early and nothing is ever open, which I think is true on both accounts. But it's true because of our restrictive trading hours. So it's a learned behaviour. I think when we talk about the rostering or some of the concerns from the unions and their members around when they're working, I think that is a small hurdle to overcome. And the benefit is an economic one and a lifestyle and a cultural one.
Just finally, Wilson, is what you're proposing giving them the option rather than enforcing when they should open?
Yes, exactly. So you're not telling these retailers when they should open. They can certainly choose that, but right now they have to operate within a certain window. So a lot of retailers probably won't take up that option, and that's completely fine. But there is certainly there are stores that would like to have a larger window to operate. And it really levels the playing field with some of these other major retailers, like your Woolworths, like your RGAs, who do have these exemptions to open 24 hours. So it levels the playing field. It gives options. It doesn't force retailers when they have to open.
Good to talk to you, Wilson.
Likewise, Joe. Thank you.
Wilson Tucker there. He is the independent member for Mining and Pastoral Region. He wants to extend trading hours. Let me know what you make of it. 1300 222 7